So we'll divide this into two categories: the nutritional aspect and then an exercise or physical activity aspect. And we'll start with the nutrition. So we always will take a caloric deficit approach. Now, the type of diet or strategy that I think is the best for most people. Now, I'm going to stop there for a moment. Whatever diet or whatever eating patterns that people enjoy the most, that they're able to stick to, that is the best diet for them. So should somebody eat a ketogenic diet? Yes, if that's the best diet for them to lose body fat. Should somebody eat a Mediterranean diet? Yes, if that's the best diet. So to me, I'm very non-judgmental on the types of diets if the goal is fat loss. I just need you to eat the foods that allow you to remain in a caloric deficit. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't try to improve food choices over time, but over the years, I've adopted if people have unhealthy body fat levels, my first efforts are to reduce the body fat, because I think you can appreciate, when you have excess body fat and you eliminate that, you've just taken care of a lot of other health problems that people have that's associated with the excess adiposity. So that is the priority. So, but even though I'm the best diet for somebody is the one they'll follow, the type of approach that I think works well for a lot of people is called a protein anchored flexible dieting approach. So let's break down each of those terms. Protein anchored means, or as you use the word, prioritizing protein, same thing. We start with setting a protein intake goal. And as a scientist and as somebody who does research in this area, we use numeric goals. We have people, hitting a calorie goal, a protein goal. So essentially, we will reduce somebody's calories by about 25% from their maintenance. So they are dieting. And we focus on protein first. So the first calories in this plan is going to be prioritized by protein. That doesn't mean breakfast is all protein. It just means over the course of a day, we're going to make sure that we get this amount of protein. And that's about a range of about 0.75 grams of protein per pound, up to a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if somebody weighs 130 pounds or 120 pounds, that would be about 90 to about 120 grams of protein per day. For somebody like me who's closer to 200 pounds, that would be 150 grams of protein up to 200 grams of protein per day. So we start there, protein anchored. And as you said earlier, why did we do that? Well, a couple of reasons. One, protein is the most satiating nutrient. It makes you feel the fullest and satiates you. Now, not all research reports that. There is some research that reports that it's no better than carbs or fat. But when you look at the totality of that research, one of two outcomes happens. Protein makes people feel more full, or it's never any worse than carbs and fat. So again, the preponderance of the evidence is, if you're trying to help your hunger levels, which you should do things to help with that when you're dieting, a higher protein diet is best. The other two things that a higher protein diet does is it helps to maintain muscle mass when dieting, and it will help to protect your metabolism. And we can get into an entire discussion on what happens when you lose muscle when dieting. It's a very bad outcome post diet. And if we have time and if you want to get into that, we can. But just at this point, let's just take my word, a fat loss researcher. We want to protect muscle when we're dieting, and protein helps do that. So now let's just say we have somebody who's typically eating, just to make this easy for me, 2,000 calories per day, and we're going to reduce their calories by 25%. So now they're eating 1,500 calories per day. And we prioritize protein, and let's say that comes to 700 calories, and that means we have 800 calories left over. Well, what do we do with those calories? In my opinion, I would suggest that it doesn't matter. You eat the foods that are the most enjoyable to you. And again, hopefully they're nutrient dense whole foods. We can have a conversation about what you're inviting when you're having more highly processed foods. But I don't gravitate towards you need to eat low carb or you need to eat low fat. I'm very big on adherence. So the least amount of changes I can make to your plan, I think the more likely you are to stick to that plan. And again, that doesn't mean we don't try to make changes over time that are better for health outcomes, but we prioritize protein. The rest of the calories are up to you. And I'll give an example. My wife really likes carbohydrates. So when she's dieting currently, she's going to choose to eat more foods that are higher in carbs. I'm a little more, compared to her, I like more fatty foods. So I'm going to choose to eat more foods that are maybe a little higher in dietary fat to get the rest of my calories. So what I'm describing here is the flexible dieting approach. So we set a calorie goal, and then we say, okay, you need this much protein, and then the rest of your calories can come from fat and carbs. But you choose the foods, at least initially, and then if I'm helping somebody, I give advice on, hey, let's try substituting this for this. What do you think about that, through the whole motivational interviewing approach, as much as I can follow that? So helping them make those decisions. So I've been talking a lot. I don't know if you have any responses or follow-up questions on the protein anchored flexible dieting approach.
You